Welcome to the DCA Podcast. This episode is a very good one, and I am excited as heck to sit down with Tate, one of the good guys of the space. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you guys know when these episodes are coming out. We are doing our best to bring real educational content to y'all, and that would be very helpful. Enjoy.
Welcome to the DCA Podcast, where time doesn't work.
Tate, how are you, man? I am very excited to have you on the DCA Podcast. You are somebody that I've seen on the timeline for a long time now, dedicated to one project in particular. And when we start right now, I want to just really hear about you. I want to hear about your upbringing, maybe your childhood, where you're from, then growing up a little bit, and then how you found yourself just from an average guy into the crypto sphere.
Yeah, awesome. So Tate, my family's from New Zealand. I was raised in the UK with the obviously British accent. I got into crypto. Childhood. I started off. My family's all from a sporting background. My dad played professional sports, so I've always had quite a lot of competitive drive behind us. In that, I played rugby to a decently high level when I was younger, and then I moved into boxing. And kept at that. So we've got that kind of competitive edge from childhood. And then I moved into crypto about 6 odd years ago. A couple of my friends were getting into it, kind of posting about it, or not posting about it, but looking into it. Saw some more videos about it, and it kind of intrigued me. Another way to make money. Especially early doors for me, it was I was working and I was seeing these videos of people trading or buying cryptocurrencies, and they'd be making, my day's wage, my week's wage in, a day or two. And you kind of sitting there thinking, there's no way that I can do all this work and someone else, sits online and kind of makes that money. So that was the thing that first intrigued me. And then that with my kind of I guess, natural competitiveness. It's you versus the charts, you trying to learn how to do it. So it kind of sparked a fire under my arse, seeing these people can do it, these people can make it. I'm going to see what I can do and get into it. And that was about 6 years ago. And I got into trading from there, taught myself some commodities trading, some Forex, and then eventually got into crypto fully when I realized the true profits behind it, or the true money that you can make. And yeah, that's about my start into it, really.
Very, very cool. I actually was going to ask you about boxing because I've seen your PFP. How do you feel like, because I find that to be very interesting, the competitive nature. I was competitive growing up my whole life as well. How do you think that competing in boxing as a one-on-one athlete, what I mean by that is like I wrestled and I skateboarded most of my life, and it's a one-person sport. So if I do good, it's on me. If I do bad, it is all on me.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a lot different than a team sport where you're playing football, American soccer, any of that, where you have a whole team where you can kind of point the finger at. But trading is similar in the fact that you are completely by yourself. What kind of similarities have you noticed or have you seen from boxing to trading?
Yeah, so I think they've got a really strong crossover. That, it's all up to me. If you win, it's because of yourself. If you lose, it's because of yourself as well. There's no one else to blame. It's also some of the reason I swapped from rugby to boxing, because you could play, a game of rugby and you could lose because, you could train 7 days a week, you're hard out, and you could still lose a game. Unfortunately, sometimes you could point the finger at the team. But with boxing, if I put my, whole into it, if I put 100% and I win, I know that's because of me. Or if I lose, I also know that's because of me. So then when you link that to trading, it's the exact same. It's me versus the chart. It's me going out to learn it and learn this information. And then, it's not quite PvP, but it's, you going against the market going, right, what can I do? And I don't think there's any sport like boxing or other combat sports that you can really push yourself to the limit of going, it is you versus yourself. What can you do? What can you bring to the table? And trading's exactly that. If you really put that dedication in, you versus the chart, you can beat it and you can really get yourself ahead. So that's kind of from boxing into trading. It's really a really similar sport. You've got to beat yourself up, you've got to put in the hours, you've got to put in the time. But once you start to see the reward, it's really you versus the chart. And you can really see that solo sport, solo competitiveness bring you forwards.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Now, when I first, for me personally, when I first started getting into trading, it was very similar to you. Seeing all these people, traveling the world trading, and I'm kind of laughing in my head right now. The first thing that kind of I found on the internet was a guy named Tim Sykes, and he was a day trader. You could find him all over the internet, and trading stocks, day trading stocks, has a big presence on the internet, and through that is how I eventually made my way into crypto. I'm curious. Now, you mentioned crypto being maybe where the big profits were. Why did you decide to go from commodities or stocks, like Apple or Google, to
Mhm.
crypto? Was it specifically because of profits? Did you see more upside? What was it exactly that made you focus solely on crypto?
So 100%. So my main thing was I had a set strategy that I was trading. I had a couple years of just more gambling, really not hitting the nail on the head. But once it really clicked with me that once you've got a strategy that you can trade and you can, work on, you can see your profitability and your win rate, that you can start, you know, putting that on other assets and kind of looking at how you can do it. And at the point of my swap over, I was very much into Forex. And it would take, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for Forex to make a significant move. And I'd go and trade Bitcoin, and you take one position and it would do the whole move in a day or a few hours. And you kind of sit there going, I hold this position for 3 or 4 weeks, I pay loads of fees, I do all of that. Or I can take a position in Bitcoin or, other major assets and get the same price movement within a week. So for me, it was really the idea of I can dramatically increase my profitability by changing the instrument. And for me, is kind of trading is the baseline of it. I'm after where I can pull out my money, where I can extract it. I would trade air if it made me enough money, if there was the market for it. So for me, it's really where can I extract my money as a trader? But also, I started moving my profits into the likes of Bitcoin or Solana or eventually meme coins. And I kind of fell in love with the crypto punk side of it first, against
Hmm.
against the institutions, against kind of the broken system, and then kind of more also leaning into the side of wow, you can really make significant returns here that you just can't find anywhere else. It's inaccessible. So that's where my real kind of move came from.
Hmm. So you're now into crypto, and you're looking around, and I know personally, especially at first, it's overwhelming, right? There's an incredible amount of noise. Depending on the time you came in, it could have been euphoric, it could have been a downtime, but there is an insane amount of info to really sift through, to
Yes.
find the truth and to find good projects. What was that process like for you? And walk me through how you walked through all the noise and sifted through it and eventually found yourself in retire, which is where I see you focusing a majority of your time.
Yes, for sure. So at the start, to be blunt, it was loads and loads of trial and fail. I failed so many times. I'd follow these influencers or these creators or KOLs, whatever you'd like to, label them. And you'd lose money to the most silly things. And it kind of clicked with me. You while you're sifting through it, you end up going, I'm relying on someone else to provide for me. You're relying on someone else's information to make you money, someone else's information to trade, to have trades, to actually do anything. So it took me a while to really go, this is on me. I need to be the source of information. Other people can be, inputs. You can find people, for example, Shadow in the meme coin space, who can give you good inputs into what you're looking at. But at the end of the day, you need to know that it's all on you. If you buy a project, or if you're looking into something, or you're trying to teach yourself how to trade or looking at trading, you need to go, this is on me and the outcome is my responsibility. But with that, it means that you can really focus on what information you're taking, what is actually beneficial for you. Something in trading for me that helped is KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. There's
Mm,
no need to put in all this information, take 100 sources. Back in the day, it was 100 Telegram channels or more. You're getting loads of information and it's just too much. When you realize, okay, what can I do myself? What do I know myself? Then you can start to siphon that out and go, right, this is these are the sources that I trust or that I would want to take a little bit of information from. But at the end of the day, I'm digesting it and I'm kind of getting the output from it. With Retire, it really resonated with me. So I saw it maybe a month old, probably not even a month old. And at that point, you kind of, even now, you get kind of exhausted with the constant trading, the constant battle, especially if you trade meme coins. You really understand the trenches, buying a 5K coin and selling it for 30K and loads of rugs, and it just doesn't work. And when you get to Retire, it just makes sense. When you hear the last play or Retire, you think, why am I here? What am I trying to do at the end of the day with this money? Is I'm trying to get myself to a position of financial freedom. And when I saw Retire and I saw people talking about it in the community, it really resonated with me. This is why we're all here. We all want to beat the system. We know that we can't trust the system. If you look at the inflation or, deflation of assets as well. You just look at everything, the housing prices, and you go, this system really isn't made for me to win. If I spend my whole life in education, I lose, how many years get how much debt, and I'm trusting that the system that I'm in is going to bring me to financial freedom. Well, from personal experience and from personal uh, life, my mum's a dentist and she's been working her whole life. And she's got to the point now where she's trusting the system to allow her to retire. And it was only a couple months ago that she called me up going, my retirement age has been pushed back by 10 years. So she was nearly, to retire. And then she goes, I've actually got to work another 10 years. Now she's given her
wow.
whole life to the system, right? System is a broad term, and it only lets her down. So it kind of strikes a chord with you going, she's given her whole life to make this happen. And at the end, it's no. And I just don't think that as any sane person, you can go, I can put all that trust into giving you and yours a life and a proper life. I don't think you can give all that trust to a system that repeatedly lets you down. Or if you're trusting the standard fiat currency, it gets devalued. So you sit in that and you lose out, or you trust the system to retire you and they just kick you to the mat once you've done your time. So for me, that was the real thing that resonated with me, is that it just makes so much sense. You don't need to explain so much more into it. You hear Retire, you're in this space, you're in it to make, you're in it to get financial freedom, and that's the solution. There's enough trenching, enough, messing each other about, trying to rug each other for pennies. Let's all come together. The last play, let's retire and be done.
Wow. That really struck a chord with me. Specifically about your mom. You said she's a dentist.
Yes.
I'm not really familiar, forgive my ignorance, but I don't really know exactly how finances or jobs or the hierarchy of careers operates in the UK. But in the United States of America, a dentist it's up there with a doctor. You're making good money. It's
Yeah.
a respected career. It's a financially freeing career, so to speak. Like dentists in the US are supposed to be doing good. So I can't imagine what that's like for you as her son to see her and just to hear her say to you, "My retirement just got pushed back 10 years." As a son to a mom that isn't doing the best financially, that would hurt me. And that would actually light a fire under my butt even more to say, wow, this is exactly why I'm doing that. I can't imagine like how
Yeah,
that felt when you heard your mom say that to you.
most certainly it was the biggest kick up the arse and the biggest fire that you could possibly get. You know, she does okay doing the dentist. I've got two brothers as well. And the UK is only getting more and more expensive. So she's not doing, awfully. I'm not gonna, lie about that. But it's also not it's not what it should be, if that makes sense. For all that she's put in, for the system and the government to kind of, kick her to the side rather than going, you've done a lot. It really does kick that fire under your ass, going, especially as someone like a dentist who's highly respected. You go, out of everyone, you really still kick those people to the side, and it really does light that fire, and kind of the bells are ringing, going, is this really a system that we can trust and sit in? And will I give my life to that to get just messed over at the end? I don't think so. I'm not personally happy with that. And when you look at what can be done outside of it, when you kind of take your mind outside of the system, getting money in is the only real barrier, to this freedom, to actually being able to live life, in my opinion,
Yeah,
of course.
I think you're so right when you say that. Retire has been around now for a little bit of time, for a while. As far as the meme coin space goes, or the culture coins, or movement coins, whatever you want to call it. How soon from the point Retire was started did you come across it? Like, how long have you been involved in the project personally?
So I would say probably around 2 weeks to a month, I started buying. The dev rugged very early, but I kind of, it made no sense to me why that would even matter. The project just resonated with me so much that as soon as I saw it, I thought it was just a no-brainer. And a year and 5, 6 months down the line, I still believe the exact same. Um, so yeah, probably 2 to a month in, I got involved. And then I kind of started off as just lightly mentioning it on my Twitter when I had very low followers, and it's kind of, I've become more and more wrapped into it. And as you kind of see the space develop, we started as everything would send, everyone was kind of, the ceilings were so much higher, and then it moved to so much more of a PvP, and it hasn't really moved away from that. But you just see that traders are just pouring money into coins that don't make any sense. You see something like SPX rallying people together, and you can kind of, and GME is a big one for me. You see the power of
Hmm.
GME. If you look at something like the Big Short, you can go, the power of community can really topple the institution. You can really break yourself out of the system by coming together, waking up and going, really, if we do come together, we can do that. So that was kind of my lean into it.
Very, very cool. I also saw, and you mentioned earlier that you recently started a TikTok.
Yes.
I am curious, was that something that you personally came up with, or in Retire amongst a couple of you guys, did you decide you needed to start branching out? What is your goal with the TikTok account? And tell me why you came about that.
Sure. So it's kind of, we all want to branch into retail, and TikTok, for better or worse, is where retail lie. Um, for me personally, I'm a very big believer in, if it's to be, it's up to me. So, I'm not going to say to someone, I want you to be pushing to retail, and I'm not pushing to retail. If I'm asking someone in my community, I want you to be doing that, I want to be doing the same. I want to be leading by example. So, 4 or 5 days ago, created my TikTok account, started putting my face to it. Maybe 2, 3 months ago, I put my face on Twitter as well, started recording videos, doxing myself, kind of more connecting to the community there. So it was from the community side and from Retire side, we want to breach into retail, because that's obviously where the true money is. And that's also where we're trying to really resonate. We're not just trying to retire crypto people and CT people. We're trying to really connect with retail. I'm sure you've seen on my account, I've been buying my family wallets in. And I really do think that's where the true value is. I spoke to some people recently while traveling, and they have the same issues of, they can't trust their government, they can't put their money into their 401ks or their pensions. They're kind of, or they can't find jobs, they can't buy houses, they're really being let down by the system. And, listening to that, it really connects with retire. So it gave me a real kick up the arse, a real fire under me to go, we really do resonate with retail. And if someone's going to be pushing to retail, I want to be leading the way. I don't want to be telling someone to push to retail and I'm not. So I created the account, got my face going, and I'm trying to kind of connect and explain and talk to retail about the issues in the system and what retire stands for and what we're trying to really solve and make a difference in.
You just had a banger of a quote. If it's to be, it's up to me. I've never heard that before, and that's a powerful quote, man.
Yes, it really is. It really is.
Very powerful. I can't believe I've actually never heard that before because it is so simplistic, and it reminds me of what you said earlier. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That is such a simple quote, yet it is so powerful. That quote alone could reshape communities and how they move. Stop
Yes,
waiting for other people to do things. Grab the bull by the horns and do it yourself. If you want something done, just do it.
most certainly. Most certainly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people they wait for others to make the move, and then they're like, oh, okay, but in reality, everybody has a little bit of power themselves, and it doesn't matter how big your account is, it doesn't matter how small your account is. You can always put one foot in front of the other and start walking towards your goal.
100%.
I want to get into something that I see Retire do together, and I find it to be impressive, and I just want a couple of your thoughts on it. It's what you guys call DCA Fridays, and I want to hear about how that got started, because it is a thing in your community. I see you guys rally together and you make it a big deal. How
Yes.
how did you come about that? Like, how did it get started? Where did the idea come from? And what have you seen from it? What has it done for you guys? And maybe just tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So I think I've got to tip my hat here to Shadow. I think Shadow was the first to really, show his conviction and go, every single week, we're going to add our buys in. We're going to dollar cost average in. And we really want to position ourselves as the tokenized 401k. As you would do to your normal pension or your 401k or retirement fund, you add to it every week, every month, every paycheck. And we really want to, nail that in, that we are the tokenized 401k, your tokenized retirement fund, and all of us buying in together every week, coming together as a community, rating each other's posts, making a lot of noise on the timeline. It really brings us together and kind of gives everyone in the community confidence in what we're doing. You see 20, 30, 40 people all chucking in even $1. You can really see the conviction building and building and building. I'm not trying to let go of my tokens for anything less than $1, $5, $10. Buying these tokens now and slowly adding up and accumulating, it really does build that community confidence, and it really solidifies us as what we're trying to be in the tokenized retirement fund. And you kind of look back into the history of it, and again, tipping my hat to Shadow, but you can see his buys. He's been consistent week after week after week, and his returns are much outweighing the 401ks or retirement funds by multitudes. It's no small number. It's 100 200% greater returns. So I really do, I do think we have to give credit to him for it. And I think the community, after he started doing it and after the community really kind of resonated with it and understood that, no, this really is our retirement fund and we really are making a change here, we really are positioning ourselves against the system, that it just continued to make sense. And week after week, you get one more person buying in, even just $1.50. You get another person buying in, another person buying in, another person buying in. It really starts to kick you, into gear. You're going, all right, I want to get mine in as well. So yeah, that's kind of where it's come from. Community loved it. We love it. We stay with it.
Yeah, I love what you said there. Something that I see and that I believe that dollar cost averaging together does is it puts your money where your mouth is. Right? There's this saying that actions speak louder than words, and if you say as a community, retire, for example, that we believe or we have faith on our product or this is going to take us to the moon. I mean, whatever you put on that, if somebody were to ask you, well, when's your last purchase? And you said a year ago, I mean, does that really show conviction? I
Yeah,
would argue not really, because why are you not continuing to buy regardless of price? But when you guys join hands every single Friday and buy, it is proof of belief. Like it is
yeah,
absolutely undeniable that you guys are putting your money where your mouth is and you believe to your core exactly where you're going to go. And I think it is an amazing exercise as a community to get in the habit of doing. And it really, it's just undeniable. I mean, everyone can see it and they can feel it. And I feel like it's kind of magnetizing and it draws other people into doing the same thing because it also creates this sense of FOMO, maybe, where they're like, well, shoot, if they're doing it every Friday and they're buying with big purchases, I better buy
yeah.
because price is only going up. And
Most
it
certainly.
creates a really solid foundation in your project.
Hmm. And not to mention as well, just a small side point is that every single week more supply goes to the diamond hands. And we've seen the analytics of 90% of the community are diamond hands, holding for multiple months, 6 months without any sells, only buys. And you really get that every single week more supply will go to the community. And as supply gets locked off, basic supply and demand, price is only going to increase. And the people who are holding have been holding for a long time. We've held through all the pumps to all-time highs and back down. We know that the token and the project is undervalued. We know that none of us are getting rid of any of our tokens anytime soon. So it really does solidify, well, every week more tokens are going to these people who will not sell, simply refuse to sell. And you see the effects of it when, the majors are down and retire hasn't even moved a percent down, or the majors are green and retire for some reason is up 30, 40, 50% because no
Yes.
one wants to sell. As soon as you see any green and the chart starts to move up, no one's selling into those buys. It's just buy after buy after buy after buy. And as you say, you get the FOMO effect that just kicks the chart even higher.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned shadow a couple times up to this point, and I kind of want to take a quick second to touch on that. A lot of projects are looking for a big KOL, so to speak, or the magic bullet. I am curious what it's like from your perspective to to be working alongside of somebody like Shadow, who I personally believe, first off, he's a big account. The guy
Yes.
is a big personality. Like he's loud, he is convicted, he leans into his belief. I like the guy. I don't personally know him, but I really think he's one of the good guys. And
Mhm.
I want to know, like from your perspective, what is it like working alongside him? Um, for retire and for you personally.
Yeah, so for me, as just off the bat, when you're kind of going through loads of Twitter accounts, you get loads of LARPs, or I guess in the entire crypto space or in the entire financial space, you've got loads of LARPs, loads of people who fake stuff and not true to their word. And Shadow was the first KO, or not the first KOL, but the one true KOL who I kind of sit there and go, no, he really does believe what he says. He preaches what he does, and his actions speak louder than his words. So he's truly inspirational to work behind, or even to be, in the same project with. It really is. It really is inspirational, especially hearing his story. He was a delivery driver. I'm sure he can say it better, but he was a delivery driver and then, got into this space and he was working his arse off and just pure work to make it. And obviously he's a huge account now. He's doing well for himself. And, as someone trying to do similar for myself, it really is inspirational to see that the hard work and, kind of going back to the quote, if it's to be, it's up to me. He lived it. If it was to be, it was up to him, and he did it. So it's a pleasure to work beside him. He really is what he is on the timeline. He's completely convicted. He's probably even more convicted than what he puts on the timeline, which is hard to believe. Um, but it is a massive honor, and he does really kick a fire up your ass to go, I can really make this happen. It's a matter of work and putting it in.
Brilliantly said. If you had to identify a few key factors that separate a winning project from one that maybe fizzles out over time and just dies, give me a couple of those key factors that you think really separate the winners from the losers.
Sure. So I think one of the main ones is an established community. I know that's easier said than done. Kind of communities come in as soon as price starts to move, but this is communities that when the price is down, we're all still bullish, we're all still happy. We're in our Twitter chat, our Telegram chat, we're all still bullish, going, I'll take these cheap tokens. Is one of the really key things that separates a project that's, I'm buying it here to sell it here and then I'm out, to a project that goes, no, this is truly undervalued. I am genuinely buying a discount, and I do believe I'm buying a discount, and so do all the people with me. And together, we can really self fulfill that prophecy, of that we will retire from retire. If we truly believe it and act towards it, it will come. So it's one of those. And then another one is a lot of people focus a lot on memes that are only relevant to now. So a big example is TikTok. And when the TikTok meta comes, the TikTok meta is only funny until people stop finding it funny. The price is only going up whilst people find it funny and whilst people find it relevant. As soon as it's not relevant, it fizzles out. People sell, you're holding bags down and there's no real catalyst to bring it back up. Something like retire is timeless. It's, you're not thinking, there's no hype around it. There's no big accounts posting. It's not, funny now, not funny later. It's always the focus. You're always trying to gain this financial freedom or, provide the life for your family or whatever that may be and whatever retire may mean to you. It is timeless. It doesn't, there's no one account talking about it, no people posting about it, no trend going around, nothing controls the price of it externally than retire itself. Obviously, the majors have an effect on it, but for the majority of it, the memes that really rely on one person finding it funny, two people finding it funny, they'll all go to zero, and there's no two ways about that. It's a fact at the end of the day. When people stop posting it, people stop finding it funny, price is going to go down. But when you go to a movement and something that means more than just a joke and just something funny or something to profit off, it really moves the project from an unsuccessful pump and dump to something that people truly want to put themselves behind and connect with and invest in and actually invest in, rather than just scalping a little bit of money here and there.
Well said. That is one thing that the second I came across retire, it hit me instantly as far as being timeless. And that is something that I think you guys have an advantage over other projects big time. Everybody wants to retire. I don't care where on earth you live. And everybody, mostly from my perspective, at least in this country, they have lost faith that is even going to be able to happen. So you guys have a catalyst to your project or a backbone emotionally that I feel like a lot of projects just simply can't tap into. And like you said, it's not following the latest trend. It's not following the latest shiny object. This is ingrained in all of us. We all want to retire. We all want to be able to stop working and be financially free. And you guys have that going for you in a way that other projects don't. I think it's absolutely beautiful. You mentioned doxing earlier and how that was a fairly recent thing for you. How did that come about? Was that something that you just were like, it's time? Did you do it because you wanted to show more belief in your project? Walk me through how that came about specifically, you doxing.
Yeah, so it's a kind of mix of all of it, really. It was almost I wanted to make more of an impact. I felt like I was providing more than quite a lot of these anon, PFPs, just kind of posting into the timeline. I felt like I was connecting with the people that I was speaking to more than, these other people. And I thought there's no way that I stand out as, just a normal profile picture or an NFT without, doing anything extra. So it kind of struck me that if I'm really that convicted and if I really truly believe in what I'm saying, then I should be able to put my face to it. I should be able to say, this is me, I believe in it, and I'll keep calling it. I don't mind if you know who I am because I believe in it wholeheartedly. So it was kind of a mix of um, exhaustion of fighting a nameless battle, just in talking into the void and going, I really want to connect and I want to make a bigger impact. I think I can make a bigger impact. And I think if I show my face and really connect with the people that I'm trying to speak to, that I can do that. And from doing it, I've almost instantly felt that. I've really connected with people more. I feel like people can connect with me more. Um, even just speaking on the timeline, some people, don't turn up anymore, but the people who do turn up, they really do know me, or they understand what I'm saying and what I'm trying to convey. Whereas if you're, kind of hidden behind a keyboard, you can just, spew into the distance and it's just nothing. But when you really go, listen, this is me, this is my, what I stand for, this is what I'm trying to do, I feel like it really does make that difference.
Big time. I can tell you from my perspective, it makes a huge difference. When I look into any community or a singular person within a community, when I see that person is doxed or the community is doxed, the level of trust that it gives somebody like me is major. And I'm 41 years old, so I understand I'm a little bit more old school than the average, right? So the younger generation spends a lot more time, I would think, behind a computer screen. So being undoxed might be a little less big of a deal to them. But for me, you you gain so much knowledge about a person through even body language. Even as I'm talking to you in this conversation and I see you doing this with your hands, and it's the body language that really, man, I derive so much information out of that. And so I feel like a lot of these undoxed people on the timeline and projects, they're missing a level of trust that they could gain just by undoxing.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because, like you said, you knew it. Like once you did it, instantly you saw the results, or people said, "Wow, it really is a huge deal."
Hmm. No, yeah, 100%, 100%. And as you say, I do think there are a lot of people who truly miss out by not doing it. But also, I do think that the space isn't quite right for it at the minute. And I do think that the space needs to change towards that because there's so much hate towards the good actors in the space. And I don't think there should be any, really. I think we should all be celebrating each other's wins. But there's a lot of hate towards the good actors and a lot of love towards the bad actors. So, as someone who's a good actor, you kind of fear that if you put your face to it and you have any small mistake, that it will just get punished, or people are going to try and find you or whatever it is. So I do think it's the space doesn't particularly invite it, but it's
Mm.
kind of, you just got to grab the bull by the horns. If you're truly a good actor and you truly believe and are acting on good intentions, that good things are going to come. If you're not rugging people, you're not bundling people, you're not doing whatever it is misleading them. If you're truly a good actor, then it is really, in my opinion, a good way to go. But as I say, the space isn't particularly especially the crypto Twitter space, it's not particularly responsive towards the good actors and the good side of it. But I believe with people like yourselves and myself, I think us leading the way, trying to be good actors and trying to properly educate and properly inform people, I think that we can change the space for the better. And hopefully we see more and more people begin to, reveal themselves, come out and properly speak and connect with each other.
I agree with you. I want to touch on something you just said. The good actors and the bad actors. Why do you think it is that the good actors are seemingly having tough times. And I don't mean financially. I mean maybe gaining traction or gaining support on CT as a whole versus the bad actors. It seems like the bad actors have been elevated to the top. The ruggers, the bundlers, the cabals, right? And
Yeah.
they had all the love or whatever. And maybe they're kind of getting exposed right now. But why is there that gap, that shift? And what will it take for the good actors to rise to the top?
It's a very interesting conversation, to be honest, and you can kind of go all ways about it. I personally believe that it kind of comes down to the basis of clicks, and you kind of go, if you can say I'm making 100K a month off these meme coins, it doesn't matter what happens to the people who are actually affected by them. But if you can keep showing that you make this money, more and more people come in and kind of fall for this delusion that you're not doing what you're doing behind closed doors. Like for myself, I used to properly track wallets and look at the soul scan. You see these people talking while they're selling. They're telling you to buy, and they're kind of selling out. And then they post their P&L and everyone's celebrating and clapping, and you're going, but you're not really seeing behind the closed doors that you're the person losing out. So I do think it's a lot to do with people instantly want to celebrate the success. Oh, they've made loads of money. They've made loads of money, but not looking at what's really going on behind closed doors. And then when you go to the good actors side, if they're not selling on you, they've got unrealized P&Ls. It's not like they're sitting flexing, big wins and big this, that, the other every single day. They're holding unrealized P&Ls that, if you're going to these movement coins I've been holding for, a year and a half nearly of retire. If I was buying and selling loads of other coins, I could be sitting and posting them, but I don't. I don't get these, massive clicks from rugging people and using the
Mm-hmm.
bit of influence or motion or whatever you want to call it that you can get from talking about a project. You kind of lose out on that by being the good actor, but at least the people can kind of trust you. And the thing that I think would change the space is when you get something like retire, for example, when that runs to $1, you'll see that really being the good actor and just buying and not messing around with other people, properly informing them and properly talking to them about it, and then winning will really elevate us. Especially, like you get examples like Da Vinci, who told people to buy Bitcoin at $1. You get stuff like that where you go, okay, no, he was really telling you what to do and he was trying to inform you. Obviously, I want to be slightly more informative and slightly better than that. I want to really talk to people and explain what we're trying to do. But I do think that once you start to see that movement and you start to see, holy cow, he's got a year and a half of receipts trying to inform the right way and trying to teach people the right way. I think that's where we'll really start kicking ourselves into gear, and the good actors will get the spotlight and the bad actors will get pushed to the side. And how the space is changing now, it seems like, you kind of want to go short on the trenches and long on established memes. So I do think that we're slightly getting this exposing of bad actors and the movement to, okay, no, these people who are acting, in good spirits and good faith, they are really doing it. There's receipts for it and it's working. So I do think that once we start to see those, I don't want to say results, but once you start to kind of see it come together, I think we'll start to really shift the space into the right direction again.
I agree with you. When I go on the timeline and I see people that they're dedicated to a certain project, it could be any project. Use retire for example. It could be SPX. It really doesn't matter. But when I see somebody that is gung ho on a project, and then I also see them nonstop chasing and posting about projects like AI Fruits or Pixel or LOL or
Yeah.
whatever the hell the new random thing is. Personally, it makes me lose faith, and I lose respect for that person. I lose trust that they are who they are. And I'm wondering, is that one of the reasons that somebody like you sticks to a project like retire and doesn't do that? Like, for instance, the project I'm involved in, dollar cost average, that is one of the reasons that I don't post about other projects. It's because I don't want people to lose faith or trust in what I'm doing. And so I feel like if I'm posting about all these shit projects, that it's actually going to harm what I'm trying to do in my project. I'm curious, is that why you stick so tightly to a project like Retire?
I think it's definitely got to be considered as part of the reason. I think the main one for me that really resonates is I genuinely think if I was sitting there and telling people to buy coin after coin after coin, I think the majority of them would lose money. I don't think that I could effectively tell people to buy new pairs and for the majority of them to make money or all of them to make money. I don't think it's good. And I think if you're, from my side especially, if I buy something and then I call something, I'm effectively using my influence as exit liquidity because I get the
Yeah.
earlier entry, I then call. And I don't believe that I could, with a right mind, call every day more and more coins and actually think that I'm helping people make money. I just don't think it works. I'm sure maybe there's a few people who can, but maybe you're calling it to two people, and that you can get in and out, but it just doesn't work over the long run. It is just gambling, and the betting doesn't make sense. But when I sit and go, okay, I'm going to call retire, I believe it's going to go to $1. Everything under $1 is cheap and you're going to make money. It's only a matter of time. And I will work for your bags. You can see that I will work for your bags. I'm not going anywhere. Don't plan to go anywhere. I'll only keep ramping up what I do. I think it really does reinforce that I'm not here to make money off you. I'm here to make money with you and that we can all win
Mm.
together rather than sitting and, extracting each other for pennies. It's just not, it doesn't sit right with me and it will never sit right with me.
That was absolutely brilliantly said. That was, man, that was brilliantly said. Man, you are one of the real ones.
I
It's
appreciate
it's
it.
amazing. It's amazing, Tate, because there are so many bad actors in this space. And I think that even the way that I presented that last question and then the way you answered, um, you hit the key factor that I was actually missing. And that is being concerned about the people that are watching your account. You really have love for these people. And so you're not going to lead a pig to slaughter, so to speak. That's a famous
Exactly.
saying from Jim Cramer on Mad Money. But like at the end of the day, like you said, the learning curve takes so long, right? You lost for probably a while. I mean, I know I
Yes.
did.
Years.
And so you kind of have to assume that if you're throwing out all those plays for your people, they're going to be getting their ass handed to them. There's no way they're going to be profitable on those plays. And if they are profitable, they're going to lose 9 out of 10 of them and they're going to wipe out everything and then some and be chasing and then they're bankrupt and then they sell their retire bag. Not going to be good. And so that is an amazing way that you said that because you really care about the people that are watching your account and you're putting them above yourself. That is one of the things that I feel like a lot of the big accounts in this space, they don't take into consideration the other people. They care about themselves and their account specifically. And whoever they drag through the mud, so to speak, as long as they get out of the position and get paid, that's all good. But I disagree with them. I think the long-term way to build that account and to really, really have a community that trusts you and follows your every move is to worry about them ahead of yourself. I feel like you are one of the people that does that. And I wanted to commend you on that. I
No, I
recently
appreciate that.
saw, yeah, you're welcome, Tate. I recently saw that you guys had somebody that bought 1%, 30K of retire in one clip. And that's got to be a good feeling. I'm curious. Just walk me through, like it could be a mundane day. You could be going about whatever business you're doing, and you are pounding the pavement daily for retire. When you see somebody buy 1%, I know that it's not like, oh man, I just got rich, but there is something that I feel like that does to you mentally, right? Because it's validation that I really am on the right path. Wow, look at these people that believe in me. It's a whole lot different than somebody buying $100 worth, right? Because you know that person is probably a player. Like this person, they're watching from a distance. Clearly, they probably put in a little bit of homework, and they put a big convicted bet on you. When you see a one buy come in like that, what does that make you feel like? What does it do for the community? I mean, I'm sure you guys are talking amongst yourself. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think you've said it perfectly there. It's just validation, really. It's for me. I know the project's got so much more to go, so it's not. You don't get. You got to control your excitement a little bit, but it really is. It does validate what you're saying. As you say, someone's watching from the sidelines. Someone's done their research. 1% is not a small amount to buy. $30,000 in one clip is no small amount to buy. So, when we see that, I got a notification, going, oh, holy shit, pull up the chart, see the transactions go through, and you go, no, people really are resonating with this. And especially with the market as it is at the minute, kind of the majors are a bit choppy. No one knows if we're going up, down, left, or right. Someone really placing that conviction bet at these levels, it really does help motivate you and help keep you going. Going, oh, I am on the right track. People really do resonate with this, and people are happy to bet big on it. And I believe this is only the start. I believe we're only going to see more and more whales go in. But it really was a nice little moment where you go, even in these poor markets, people are truly watching and truly appreciating what we're building as a community and as a movement, and it's only starting to pay off. Well, it's not only starting to pay off, but it's starting to now pay off. You can really see the money start to flow in, the price start to increase, the community start to kick themselves up. The X chat was loving it. It's a brilliant DCA Friday. If we almost got all of our DCAs in, loads of people I see putting their DCAs in, and then bang, there's a 30K. So you're all up 30% on the day just on those DCAs. I personally bought a couple dollars for my family as well. So I'm thinking I'm up 30% on those as well. It really is that nice bit of validation going, these DCAs are really working. Our community's really coming together. And these outside whales, these big, big players are really seeing it as well. We're all on the same page. We're all really fighting together. And it's just that bit of extra fire to really keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely. When you touched earlier on, having your mom in the project and that aspect, and I'm assuming that there's been friends or real life buddies that you've onboarded that maybe aren't even on CT like that, but that you care about, that you've brought in. Walk me through that process. Clearly, you believe in retire yourself, and so I can only assume, because you have your mom in, that maybe you have your brothers in, or you've brought real life friends in that aren't tapped into the market like you are. Walk me through that. When you want to bring a real life person in to retire, or somebody that really doesn't understand crypto like us watching this might,
Mhm.
what is that process like?
So yeah, the first step is always to explain the context of it, right? It doesn't make sense on its own really. But when you go, okay, well, how does your 401k perform? How does your government perform? How does your currency perform? How does your, the job market perform? How does buying a house work? Can you actually do these things? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you living lavish? Are you, whatever it is, it's kind of going through that context, going, okay, so do you think that working in the confines of the system that you could actually get financial freedom? And I mean financial freedom before you're 70, 80, 90, I mean true financial freedom that you could properly live life to its fullest. So that's always where I start. And then as I am on the timeline, I am in real life. If I'm a man of my word, if I say that I'm going to, sit and work for a project, I will sit and work for that project. You can see receipts of me working. So I tend to sit and go, listen, this is what I do. I post about it. I talk about it. I do this. Now look at the community, right? Look at all these accounts that also post about it, that also feel the same. And the people that you speak to in real life, as in my friends, you go, okay, well, who do you speak to in real life? Do they see the same issues? Are you all, fighting against the same system? And it always comes down to a yes. You're always living paycheck to paycheck, or you can't buy a house, you can't afford this, you can't afford that. We all kind of fall into the same category. It doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter your upbringing, your race, ability, disability, it doesn't matter. You all fight the same struggles. So it really comes down to explaining to them what we're trying to stand for. And then it really took over a year until I actually onboarded anyone I actually knew and spoke to them about it. And after the year, I go, no, I genuinely do believe in what we're doing and the outcome of what can happen. And the first couple buys of my friends, I go, listen, I'll buy you in. I'll set you up a wallet. I'll buy you in. I'll give you a couple tokens. You can just watch it, do your thing, see how we perform. You always buy them in a little bit. You see the price go up, and they go, "Oh shit! This is actually doing it." So you can kind of start bringing them slowly into the picture. Started to go, okay, well, let's look at your 401k performance or your pension performance, whatever it is, and you go, okay, you're down 1%. I'm up 13% or 15% or 50% or whatever it is, and you can't withdraw your money whenever you want. I could sell now. I could take my
Huge.
money. Right? It's a really, really big thing, especially when you
That's huge.
consider how many people are going to try and retire at the same time. You think about how much money is going to be pulled out of the market. You think you're millionaires now until everyone pulls out of the market, right? Your 401k at $1 million is not $1 million when you try and withdraw it, if they let you withdraw it. And how much are they going to let you withdraw? When are they going to let you withdraw? It's not in your hands. So it really does kind of boil down to, I just try and explain what we're doing, what's already set up. I show them the chart. I show them what's going on. I show them the social activity, and I kind of slowly bring them into that. And I've got maybe two friends in real life that I've properly onboarded into it, who actually join in DCA Friday. They never post about it. They've never been on Twitter. They've never been on crypto
Wow.
Twitter. They're not even in the space whatsoever. They don't hold Bitcoin. They don't, they care nothing of it. But the idea of being able to get their financial freedom really starts to go, okay, well, I am working paycheck to paycheck. I'm spending 90% on rent, the rest on food, and I'm sat with pennies. I can't do anything. Where can I find this actual escape? Where can I really break free from the confines that we're stuck in? And retire is, for me personally, where it really boils down. I do think that the community together can beat the institution and can beat a system that's made for you to lose.
So well said, Tate. I totally agree with you. Where do you see the future of Tate and the future of retire? Look into the future. Look down the road 30, 40 years from now. Look down the road a couple years for retire and tell me what you see.
So for myself personally, I go to the likes of, so I trade perps and obviously that type of stuff, and I look to the likes of Trader XO, who in my opinion just provides quality content, and the likes of Capital Flows or Global Flows, however he
Mhm.
goes by. He just provides quality content. There's no fluff. He's not trying to sell you something. He's not trying to pump up his position. He's not trying to do anything like that. It's just pure content and pure actual actionable advice. And I think, especially for me, when I was learning the first, I think I was losing money for the first 3, maybe 4 years. And you kind of go, all the people you're trying to follow are, bad actors or lying or LARPing or whatever it is. Where are the people that are just providing what you want to know? Where are these actual good people? And I think the space is missing it. And for myself, I want to fill that gap. I want to, when people get in, I want to go, right, this is what it is. Here's all the information you need. Have at it. I don't need your money. I don't need your this. I don't need your that. I just want to provide the good side to the space. Hopefully in 5, 10 years, I'll be more than, comfortable, more than set up. I don't need your money. I just want to be what I couldn't get. I couldn't get the good actor. I couldn't get the good information. I had to go and sit
Yeah.
and fight by yourself to find it. So fill that gap. All right. Um, and then for retire, I hope that we truly, truly set ourselves up as the tokenized 401k. I hope we've got a lot of stuff in the works at the minute, which I can't talk about, but it will be very exciting for what we can do and how we can really position ourselves as this tokenized retirement fund. And I do think that we can make so much of a splash like GME, we can make so much of a move that we can truly replace a system that's made to lose for a system that's made to win. And that's kind of how I see us going. I see, billions as chump change for retire, really. I think once you really reach into that, above $1 mark, you go, no, this is really a movement who are doing what they say. There's all these people behind it that truly believe that we need to bet against the system. You know, we need a way out. We need a way to truly win. We don't want to be working a 9 to 5 till we die. We don't want to be in this rat race. We don't want to be, living paycheck to paycheck. And I think once you start to get these results and start to see the price increase and the people come together, I think that's where we truly see our real results.
Brilliant. I like that a lot, Tate. I really appreciate you coming on here. I think this is a perfect point in which we wrap this up. You had an incredible amount of alpha. And the one thing that I take from you is that you care about others. That's rare. I hope you don't ever shift from that. You're a good guy. I can tell very, very much. Is there anybody that you would like to shout out? Is there anybody you would like to take the time to speak about and maybe say thank you to? Now is your chance.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank the entire Retire, community and people who show up for me on Twitter daily. You know, there's loads and loads of people who do, but I do truly appreciate everyone who turns up for me, and I hope to continue to turn up for them. Um, per name would be difficult. There's many people who do a lot of work behind the scenes and with us. But the people who do sit and work with me, you know who you guys are, and I truly do appreciate you guys. And all the people who just see my account now, or just kind of turning up, or have been with me for however long I've been going for. I do truly appreciate everyone who turns up, no matter where you're from, how much you do, how much you buy. It is massively appreciated, and I hope we can all win together.
Tate, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this week's episode of the DCA Podcast with Tate. One of my favorite things about filming these interviews is that I get to talk to very bright-minded individuals in the space. Tate not only fills those shoes, but he's super young. I suspect his parents had a lot to do with that. Props to mom and dad. If you guys got any value out of this, please like, share, subscribe. Also hit that notification bell. It helps us a lot and really helps ensure that we can continue to bring these to you guys. Keep in mind, this is all for the community of dollar cost average. This is all for the coin of dollar cost average, and there will be a flywheel built in. So when this gets monetized, this is going straight back to the project. I appreciate you guys very much. Have a lovely day.